how to get a security clearance. That's one of the most asked questions I get. The other one is, can I get a security clearance now for my job later? And I'm going to tell you right now that you have to have the job first before the security clearance comes. And I know that doesn't make sense because most of us like to prepare for that job. Well, I'm telling you, if you're looking for security clearance, you're looking for the right thing. The highest paid jobs are now security clearance jobs. That's where your engineers, your accountants, your finance, your project managers, program managers, and even people in the service industry, such as the cleaners, the plumbers, the folks doing the construction, as well as food service, require security clearance to get into some areas. We've got cyber technology, we've got computer programmers, software designers, software engineers, all requiring security clearances. So many of you are searching for security clearances and you have questions, and I hope to be able to answer them. And so today we're going to talk about the process of getting security clearance. Later in further podcasts or YouTube videos, we're going to talk about, what happens if I get tripped up on my security clearance. So today we're going to talk about process, and later we'll talk about specific issues that might hinder you from getting clearance, but how you can overcome them. So welcome, I'm glad you're here, and I hope you should find this very valuable. And the whole reason we're here is to talk about how to protect classified information and help you learn more about security clearances. We know there's a lot of threat in the world, and if you've been listening to our podcast, DoD Secure, you'll know that we've had a guest on there, a motivational speaker for the security and counterintelligence area, and his name is Ray the Dice Man Sentko. And DICE stands for Defensive Information Countering Everything. And so that's his anchor point, and wanted to give a little bit of wrap up about that. But first, why do we protect information that's classified by the government? And how do people get into security clearance jobs? Many people approached me when I was in my role as a facility security officer, and they wanted their security clearance, and they could not explain why they needed it. So the first thing you have to understand is, if you want a security clearance, there has to be a contractual obligation for that clearance. In other words, another contractor or a government customer has to have a need for somebody to work on a classified contract. Once that need is established, an employee can get a security clearance to work on that classified project. That is a real oversimplification. So let me start back all over. An employee can't get a security clearance unless the organization they work for has a security clearance. So we'll call that a facility security clearance. So for example, to have a facility security clearance, or to get a facility security clearance, you start with becoming a defense contractor. And most companies qualify to become defense contractors as long as there's no overarching reason to believe that they're going to propose a high risk to classified information in their possession. So what I mean by most people are qualified, one, they do have to be a U.S. company. They have to be a company in good standing in the United States as well. And some of the basic needs is they have to register for as a defense contractor, and there's a few websites to do that. And then next, they have to present their articles of incorporation or show what kind of entity they are. That's part of the application process. Basically, after you do that, you'll get a code that identifies you as a defense contractor. So once you have that set up, then you can begin to compete on contracts for the government or partner with somebody with getting government work. You're awarded that after you win a security classified contract. You put in the application for it, and you've proven that you can be trusted this entity can be trusted to work on classified contracts. So you do not have to have an FCL to compete in or win a classified contract, but you do need that facility clearance granted so that you can work on that classified contract. So what you need to begin with is a sponsor letter. Whether you're partnering with another contractor, you're going to be sub to a prime contractor, or you're going to work directly for a government entity. That entity and the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Administration, DCSA, partner. The sponsor submits a letter of intent for sponsoring a defense contractor, and it goes to DCSA, and they begin to collect data on the company, such as articles of incorporation, who the key management personnel are, who will be the facility security officer, the person setting up the program to protect classified information. So once they have that, it goes through an adjudication process, and then if everything checks out, the facility is awarded a security clearance. So in this scenario of somebody asking, how can I get a security clearance? I'm just telling it chronologically, as if the company and the employees did not have a security clearance before. So now for the personnel security clearance. Once this company wins its security clearance, the FSO gets involved with entering people, uncleared people, into a system where they go through security clearance adjudication. That's one way of doing it. The other way is for a company that's a clear defense contractor to bring in employees that are already cleared, and there's a way to do that. But if they bring in an employee that does not have a security clearance, then they can also put that new employee in for security clearance, and that request is sent up, and then the government starts the adjudication process. The trigger is when the new employee comes in and the facility security officer, or FSO, enters them into the computer system, and that triggers a SF-86, and that is a questionnaire for people who are seeking their security clearance. And I'll have another YouTube video on some of those questions you're going to get asked. But basically, the employee downloads a form, fills it out, and together that employee and the FSO start answering those questions. The FSO just looks at it and makes sure it's complete, accurate, and filled out. This is a form that takes a long time. Again, I'll do another YouTube video on how to fill that form and how long it takes, and how to best prepare for it. But there are 13 criteria that the government looks at when they look at granting a security clearance to somebody. This person that wants a security clearance should be able to either pass these 13 areas without incident, or show how, if one of these 13 areas indicate a risk, demonstrate that they have overcome that risk, they have mitigated that risk, just like we do in security. What is a risk and how do we mitigate it? So I'm going to try to do those areas off the top of my head, but I will not remember. I'm away from my office. I am in a hotel in Orlando, again, doing a PodFest, learning how to do my podcast better and how to do YouTube videos. So hopefully I'm learning something there and presenting you with some valuable specific information that you can use. Again, 10 to 12 minutes is not enough to give you the information you need, but I do have contact information. I have an email that's on here, and I encourage you to email me at editor@redbikepublishing.com and ask your questions. If your questions take more than a paragraph to answer, I might ask that you hire my services, and I'll help you out get those answers. But in the meantime, those 13 adjudicative guidelines are guidelines A through M. I think that's 13. So A, B, and C are all about your foreign allegiance, foreign influence, how loyal are you to the United States, or how susceptible are you to, or how vulnerable are you to exploitation by foreign nationals? And this could be anywhere from being married to a foreign person, or being born in and having allegiance to that country or that person that is above your allegiance to the United States. They could also be threats that you've made against the United States. You could consider that, or debt that you have to other countries, whether or not you've run for political office in another country, whether or not you have capital or investments or have a business with another entity. So these will all be taken into consideration. Again, it's not a showstopper. You'll just have to show how you've mitigated foreign influence on your life, or have you mitigated the perception that you're going to be loyal to another country above the United States. So you have to establish that. The other areas are, that was 3 of them: drug use, alcohol use, abuse of technology, failure to obey laws. There are a few others. Failure to protect sensitive information, sexual activity. So it runs the gamut. And again, if you've come up or if you have an issue in your, as you're filling out the form, just be honest, fill it out as best as possible. Any issues, go see legal advice. There's plenty of people out there that can give you advice on how to fill out these forms, and they're legal experts in this area of security clearances. So once you fill out the form, it goes up to the government office from the DCSA up into the adjudicators. Then investigators will come out and ask questions. They'll take your form and they'll ask questions based on how you answer that form. They'll talk to your references. They'll access your credit history, your medical history, and so much more. It's so good to be honest on the side of precaution. You do not want to show up as committing fraud on this form. It's better to be careful, take it slow, and be open and honest as possible than go through the extra work of mitigating your past behavior and not showing that you have a current behavior of lying and fraud. That's what happens if you fill out this form and you get caught. So the investigators will investigate your history in depth. Then they'll compile a report and it will go to a place called the adjudicator. The adjudicator is kind of like a judge, and they look at the information and look at the behavior, the red flags, and look to see if you've presented any argument or evidence showing that you've mitigated the risk. For example, maybe you took drugs in high school or in college, you're the party leader of everything fun, and you made a few mistakes, but that was so long ago in the past and you haven't repeated that behavior. All right, so that adjudicator is going to look at the whole person concept, not just that one incident, but how it fits in with your whole personality. One incident, when you're a public leader, Sunday school teacher at church, pillar of society, that one incident isn't going to make a difference in the whole person concept. But if it's a repeatable offense and has happened recently, then there might be issues. Also, that adjudicator is going to caution on the side of national security. If giving you a security clearance with these red flags will bring classified information or sensitive information at risk to exploitation or unauthorized disclosure, you will probably be denied a security clearance. But that's not the end of the story. If you are denied a security clearance, of course you can appeal that. And so there is a process for appealing these security clearances. But once you get that security clearance, once you go through these steps, you'll be granted security clearance if everything goes well. Once that happens, your FSO, Facility Security Officer, and your supervisor are going to give you some training that is called, well, first of all, you have to sign an SF-312, stating it's an agreement between you and the United States government that you will protect classified information under your care and not release it in a haphazard manner, and you will just protect it. And you'll sign that form. And there's an SF-312 briefing that you should receive that shows you how to protect classified information in general. It talks about the levels of classification. Again, that's for another YouTube video. There are levels of classified information and how to protect them, and I can tell you exactly how to do that. So you'll get that briefing, and then you get the initial security awareness brief that talks about intelligence threat, that talks about required reporting that you should do in case you're targeted, tells you level that it is classified. And there should be some specifics about the contract. Your contract will come down with specific information on how to protect that, the classified information that you receive. So that's it. That's how you get a classified, how do you get a security clearance? One, if you're an entity or organization, you respond by bidding on a classified contract, or you get sponsored from another contractor or the U.S. government. If you're an employee, you have to be working at a job that requires a security clearance. And once those triggers are in place, the facility and the individual can start applying for their security clearances. So there has to be a contractual relationship. Can anybody get a security clearance? No, you have to be a U.S. citizen to get a security clearance. And there are cases where non-U.S. persons are giving access to classified information, but they're not given a security clearance. Just like the president. Can a president get a security clearance, or how do presidents pass the security clearance? And we know that there have been some presidents in the past that may have questionable histories. Well, they don't go through the security clearance process like we do. They are granted a security clearance based on their position, so there's no investigation. Another question might be, how much does the security clearance cost? Can I pay for this thing? Why do I have to wait? No, you can't pay for a security clearance. It is on the burden of the taxpayer. These security clearance investigations are conducted by the government and funded by the government, and there's nothing that you can do to influence the output of it. So those are a couple of questions about security clearances. I hope that this clarifies things a little bit. If not, please, I encourage you to go to my website. You'll see it here, or here, or here, www.redbikepublishing.com, and look for the Contact Us tab, or redbikepublishing.com/contact. And there you can sign up for a newsletter, and it's a free newsletter. You actually get an ebook that answers questions about security clearances. So please subscribe to my channel and subscribe to my newsletter at redbikepublishing.com. I'm Jeff Bennett. I run Red Bike Publishing, and we have security training for people who protect classified information, as well as information on how to get certifications in the DoD area and how to get a security clearance. So please come visit us and send your questions. Jeff.Bennett@redbikepublishing.com or editor@redbikepublishing.com, and I will get back with you. Thank you.